Batmen have limits. They learn what they are and not to exceed them. I ignore mine. The famous words of the Cape Crusader himself, Batman. In today's video, we are going to be looking into the amazing world of bats and Batman to see just how similar they really are for Bat Appreciation Day and see what real-life superpowers these incredible animals have. But I won't be alone. I'll be joined by my buddy Cole from Animal Education with Cole Shirk. So you ready? Join the safari and let's get started. Batman is the protector of Gotham City. And like Superman once explained, given his tragic origin story of his parents being shot and killed in front of him, well, he has every right to be angry at the world. Instead, Bruce Wayne takes that anger and almost fuels it into hope for the people of Gotham by being a brooding vigilante, to say the least. But Batman has a very interesting command center, if you will, known as the BatCave. It's located under the marvelous mansion known as Wayne Manor and serves as his control center to be able to monitor everything that's going on in Gotham City. But Batman didn't always have the Batcave. In the early days of his activities as Batman, the Batsuit was often stored in a wooden chest in Bruce's bedroom, of all places. Over time, the need for a cave developed as he acquired such things as the Batplane and, of course, the Batmobile. And over time, in the course of comics as well as in the movies and TV shows, we've seen it develop into a rather impressive hangout, to say the least. But do the superhero bats of our world also hang out in caves? Over to you, Cole.
Like Shelby explained, bats will seek solace in caves, but for bats, it's not to hide from the villains of Gotham City. It is more to seek protection from the weather and from predators. And caves provide a lot of craggy areas so that whole communities of bats can roost together. And when the weather gets a bit cooler, these bats will huddle together for warmth, and then once it gets warmer, they will spread out within the cave. You're probably not going to find a Batmobile in the average bat cave, but there are hundreds, if not thousands, of bats in these caves. And with a lot of bats comes a lot of guano. Guano is just a fancier term for bat poop. And if Batman decided to keep his Batmobile inside of a bat cave, then he's going to spend his entire time washing the car. But guano isn't all bad. Guano has a lot of nitrogen in it, and people will collect this and use it as fertilizer for their farms. Back to you, Shelby.
I love your shirt, Cole. And that is so true about bat guano. It's so amazing. Bat guano was even used by the US in the War of 1812 for making gunpowder. Batman has also done quite a bit of traveling. Don't think he's been limited to just Gotham City. After the loss of his parents, he went on quite the global journey. His first stop on his globe-trotting adventure was Tibet to learn martial arts. He also spent time in Paris, in Norway. He was pretty much gone for a good 7 years. But are bats globe-trotting as well? It turns out bats are found almost everywhere in the world. There are bats in Scandinavia, even in the deserts of the southwest of the United States. Really, the only places on Earth without any bats are the Arctic, the Antarctic, and a few oceanic islands. That's it. But at the end of the day, can't mention Gotham without thinking of Batman, and vice versa. But he too also has his eye on the bigger picture, for he was one of the founding members of the Justice League. So while Batman helps protect the city of Gotham, and occasionally the world at large, do bats really help people? Cole, what do you think?
Shelby told you how Batman protects the city and the citizens of Gotham from his arch enemies, but the insectivorous bats of the world are protecting you as well. These insectivorous insects are insect-eating machines, and they can eat anywhere from 6,000 to 8,000 insects each night, and that's a lot of insects. Not only are these bats eating the insects that bug you when you walk around your backyard at night, but they're also getting rid of insects like mosquitoes, which are just spreading out diseases, so these bats are like your little superheroes for your backyard.
Okay, so bats help people by eating the things that can usually be of a pest to us. I'll be the first to admit mosquitoes and I don't typically get along. Well, they like biting me, but I'm not a fan of them per se, especially the itchiness that happens afterwards. But anyways, bats do seem relatively helpful. But is that all they have in common with Batman? Well, let's take a look at Batman's favorite food, shall we? Oh yeah, this one's a bit of a deep cut, friends. Batman's favorite food, you might be surprised to hear, is soup. That's right, I was surprised to find out. You know, the Cape Crusader, you think he needs a lot of protein and maybe a good roast dinner, but oh no. And his particular favorite soup of choice? I'm glad you asked.
Mulligatawny soup.
Spicy soup made from meat, vegetables, rice, and curry spices. And it's soup made courtesy of his famous butler, Alfred. But do bats also like soup, Cole?
Die-hard fans of Batman know that his favorite food is soup, and some of our bat friends enjoy nothing more than warm soup as well. Now you may be thinking, I've never seen a bat drink soup before. But that's because they don't use bowls or spoons. That would just be silly, because they don't have thumbs. But the vampire bats of Central and South America enjoy nothing more than warm blood soup. They're able to detect where the blood vessels are closest to the skin, and their teeth are like tiny needles able to go right into the vein, and their saliva has anticoagulants that allows them to feed longer.
Now let's take a closer look at the technology of both Batman and bats. Well, first off, Batman, he's pretty well known for his technology. Firstly, that comes to mind, obviously, the bat suit, the iconic bat suit, especially depending on which version of the Batman you want to talk about, which movie. But also his yellow utility belt, which holds most of his field equipment, including a ring that's made of kryptonite that was entrusted to him by his buddy Superman, a cutting tool, a fingerprint kit, batarangs, smoke bombs. What else is in there? Oh yeah, his grappling hook, but also a button to be able to call the Batmobile. So it's pretty impressive of a belt, to say the least. To go briefly back to the fingerprint kit, which some of you might have found quite odd, it's because Batman is known as the Great Detective. That's one of my favorite superpowers of the Cape Crusader is, well, his brains. Like the Flash, which if you missed the video on how similar the Flash and the Cheetah really are, be sure to click the link up here. Batman and the Flash are quite well adept at being detectives first and foremost. If we were to go through his list of abilities, we'd be here for quite some time. For they range from acrobatics, to being multilingual, to being an amazing tactician. It just so happens that he has these amazing bits of equipment and technology to boost what he already has. But I'm wondering, do bats have some kind of high fancy tech kit? What do you say, Cole?
As Shelby explained, Batman has stealth and high-tech gadgets to help him fight crime, but our little batty friends aren't all that different. Many bat species have highly developed wings that allow them to fly silently throughout the night and change directions on a dime. Now, their stealthy flight allows them to ambush their prey. Like Batman, some bat species take on their arch enemies on the ground as well. Short-tailed bats of New Zealand actually hunt their prey on the ground versus chasing them through the night skies. These bats mostly feed on weta crickets and will drop down from their roost, much like how Batman drops down from the sky, and they will crawl around and eat as many crickets as possible before returning to their roost. Like Batman, bats have high-tech tools of their own, except for these tools aren't on the little bat belts. Insectivorous bats use echolocation to help find the location of food and just fly through the night skies. Insectivorous bats use this echolocation by making a click or some other sound that they're able to find the distance and the location of objects around them by whenever the sound waves bounce back to them. As the bat is preparing to emit a call, their ear bones will actually separate so that they're not sensitive to their own ultrasonic sounds. Us humans can hear anywhere between 20 and 20,000 hertz, while bats can emit calls between 14,000 and 100,000 hertz.
Just like it's hard to mention Gotham without thinking of Batman, it's equally as tricky to think about Batman without the Joker. When it comes to Batman's enemies, the Joker stands out, well, above the rest, in my opinion. He is certainly a fierce foe, to say the least, and has dealt quite the blows to Batman. in both comics and movies and even TV shows. Of course, there's other villains like Penguin and the Riddler. In fact, in the comments down below, let me know who your favorite villain of Batman is. But what about the bats of our world? Are they facing any threats? Any villainous foes?
One of the things I wanted to talk about was population fluctuations in various bat species. Some cave-dwelling bats have been really hit hard by a disease called white nose syndrome. White nose syndrome is a syndrome that affects a bat's respiratory system, which makes it more difficult for them to breathe, which makes it more difficult for them to fly, and it burns a lot more energy for them to stay warm in their winter roosting. Bats must conserve their energy throughout the winter until they can actively go out and feed in the spring, because during the winter time there are not a whole lot of insects out, so they cannot eat thousands of insects at a time. In areas where these populations are declining, local governments have put bans on cave diving and splunking in the wintertime. When a bat's roost is disturbed in the winter months, researchers have found that these colonies are more susceptible to white nose syndrome. And in areas where these cave bans have been in place, some colonies, such as the little brown bat and the gray bat, have begun to recover from these bans.
Although Batman's hidden persona of Bruce Wayne is seen as being, well, a playboy to say the least, he truly does take care of both the citizens of Gotham as well as his friends, like James Gordon, Vicky Vale, and of course, Robin. Well, the many different Robins throughout the comics history. And bats, too, are known to be rather caring. Some bat species have been known to bring food back to the roost for sick and injured bats. Isn't that amazing? That's one cool superpower. Bats are so incredible, and it's been really exciting being able to celebrate Bat Appreciation Day by looking at the real-life superpowers of the bats in our world. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Cole?
Thank you, Shelby, so much for allowing me to be part of this video. I've seen a lot of these superhero comparisons from you, and I've really enjoyed the videos. So when you gave me the offer to be part of one, I knew I had to jump on that opportunity. So thank you so much, and I can't wait to see what other comparisons you come up with in the future. Again, thank you.
Aw, thank you so much, Cole. It's been fantastic being able to look into the Cape Crusader with you. Guys, if you haven't already, be sure to check out Cole's channel, which I'll put a link to up here, as well as in the description down below. Be sure to check out the rest of my superhero and animal comparisons by clicking the playlist here. In fact, I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching!